Satan must know something. It doesn't make sense to oppress a group of people for no other reason than the color of their exterior, which they had no responsibility for having. And it wouldn't be so bad if there was one group that got on their case. Everybody in human history has attempted to oppress black people for no other reason than the color of their skin.
Why has the black man been relentlessly targeted throughout history? Is it simply politics, economics, racism? Or is there a deeper spiritual battle taking place that many people have never considered? In this powerful episode of Race, Religion, Racism, Dr. Fred Price presents his perspective that the attacks against black people throughout history aren't merely historical or social, but part of a larger spiritual conflict. He challenges viewers to think beyond headlines in history books and consider whether Satan always seeks to attack what God values most.
From the wolf by the ears, Thomas Jefferson, one of your first presidents, drafter of the Constitution. Listen to this now. Listen to this. Quote, "Here Jefferson reflected the age-old belief." See, age-old. See, it ain't no new belief. It's age-old. That means it's old with age. The age-old belief that blackness was somehow cursed. And the early founding fathers of this nation used that age-old belief to justify their enslavement of black Africans. Since they've been cursed, then we have a right to enslave them, misuse them, mistreat them, do whatever we want to them because they're cursed. Now let's look at some other historical ideas about Ham and the curse of blackness, because I want you to see how deeply rooted this is in this society, and unfortunately how deeply rooted it is in the church, so that you can do a little introspection and check yourself out. Because see, you may not realize it, but things have been planted in all of us subliminally. From childhood, things we don't even remember consciously being told that or taught that. But it causes a response to come up out of us when we're faced with certain situations. And we really, if our life depended on it, we could not really justify why we feel the way we feel at that moment in time. And it came because of implantation, subliminally, over time. And so we need to go back and look at ourselves to be sure we don't have anything in our heart that causes us to act and react the way we do. Otherwise, we'll just continue to perpetuate our feelings to our children, to their children, and the beat will go on. But I'm here to tell you that the beat must stop. In the Encyclopedia Judaica, that's Judaica, Encyclopedia Judaica, copyright 1971 by Keter Publishing House Limited. That's Keter, Keter Publishing House Limited, Jerusalem, Israel. On page 1216 and 1217, we find an interesting account. Now, when I did this research, there are a lot of, the Encyclopedia Judaica was written for Jewish people. And because of their traditions and their history, they would understand some of these abbreviations. There's a lot of abbreviations because as the encyclopedia gives these statements, they refer to other writings, obviously, that Jewish people would know that other people would not know. So I'll be giving you all I can do is give you the letters, you know, the initials of it. But that's not really what's important. What's important is what they're saying. But just so that you'll understand it. And the reason that I give it is so that you can go check it out, anybody that's interested. So that you don't think I'm just coming up with something out of the top of my head, which is what I've been doing all the way through the series. Not coming out of my head, but giving you references whereby you can go check them out for yourself. Okay, in the Encyclopedia Judaica, copyright 1971, as I aforementioned, in an account in the Aggadah, this is Aggadah, in the Aggadah, and I quote, Ham's descendant, Cush, that was one of Ham's sons. Ham's descendant, Cush, is black-skinned as a punishment for Ham's having had sexual intercourse in the ark. Oh, don't laugh, it gets better. And this is quoting from I believe this is the Sanhedrin, or Sanhedrin. It's called SANH period 108B. 108B like in ball. When Ham saw his drunken father exposed, he emasculated him, saying, quote, Adam had but 2 sons, and one slew the other. This man Noah had 3 sons, yet he desires to beget a 4th. This is found in some of their writings, Genesis, not the Genesis that we know, but Genesis R 36, chapter 36, verse 5. This is some other writing. Noah therefore cursed Canaan. Genesis 9:25, we just read that. Ham's 4th son, since through this act he was deprived of a 4th son. Genesis R, like in Robert, 36, verse 7. According to another opinion, Ham committed sodomy with his father. This is the Sanhedrin, or SANH period 70A, like an apple. And Noah cursed Canaan because Ham, together with his father and 2 brothers, had previously been blessed by God. This is what I had said a few moments ago. This is found in Genesis R, LOC period, CIT period. These are in parentheses. Genesis R, or GEN, let me say it that way, GEN period, R period, LOC period, CIT. Another tradition, all this is in this encyclopedia. Another tradition attributes the curse to the fact that it was Canaan who castrated Noah. Ham was nevertheless to blame because he informed his brothers of their father's nakedness. This is found in PDRE 23, whatever that is. PDRE 23. Going on, the encyclopedia says, Canaan was so wicked. We're talking about age old. Get this? This is what people have been believing and passing on. Now, we're getting an opportunity to get some idea. Now, I realize, and I'm sure, as I've said before, all the way through this, don't get personal on me. And I'm sure it's probably not every single Jewish person. But perhaps others in that community have been thinking of us this way because of their age-old teachings and traditions. Listen to this. Canaan was so wicked that his last will and testament to his children was. See, these are the things that have been circulated and believed. And what you have been taught will help to create your mindset concerning the life you find yourself in. Canaan was so wicked that his last will and testament to his children was, and I quote, love one another, love robbery, love lewdness, hate your masters, and do not speak the truth. End of quote. This is found in PES period 113B. These are all writings. Going on, Ham was also punished in that his descendants the Egyptians and Ethiopians were taken captive and led into exile with their buttocks uncovered. Isaiah 20 and 4. And then Genesis R36 and 6. 36th chapter, I guess, and verse 6. Ham, now get this, Ham was responsible for the ultimate transfer to Nimrod of the garments which God had made for Adam and Eve before their expulsion from the Garden of Eden. From Adam and Eve, these garments went to Enoch, and from him to Methuselah, and finally to Noah, who took them into the ark with him. When the inmates of the ark were about to leave their refuge, Ham stole the garments and kept them concealed for many years. Finally, he passed them on to his firstborn son, Cush, who eventually gave them to his son, Nimrod, when he reached his 20th year. This is found in PDRE 24 and SEFERHA-YASHAR, comma, Noah 22. All these are writings apparently in the Jewish community somewhere. Now, that is indeed interesting, don't you think? But we are not finished. Let's look now at a book entitled The Legends of the Jews by Louis Ginsburg. The Legends of the Jews by Louis Ginsburg. LOUISGINZBERG. Jewish Publication Society of America. On page 166, 168, and 169, volume 1, we find these words. I quote, "After the sacrifice was completed, God blessed Noah and his sons. He made them to be rulers of the world." Well, wait a minute. If God blessed Noah and his son and made them, Noah's sons, to be rulers of the world, that'd be meaning that Ham be a ruler. Quote, after the sacrifice was completed, God blessed Noah and his sons. He made them to be rulers of the world as Adam had been, and he gave them a command, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply upon the earth." For during their sojourn in the ark, now this is Mr. Louis Ginsburg, in a publication entitled The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1. "Be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. For during their sojourn in the ark, the two sexes of men and animals alike have lived apart from each other. Because while a public calamity rages, continence is becoming even to those who are left unscathed. This law of conduct had been violated by none in the ark except by Ham, by the dog, and by the raven. They all received a punishment. Ham's was that his descendants were men of dark-hued skin. I said this before, I'll say it again. This ought to lift every black-skinned person out of the doldrums of low self-esteem and inferiority complex syndrome. Here's why. There has, to my knowledge, there has never been another race, so-called race. They call it race, but we know there's only one. But for the sake of discussion, there has never been another race except the black race that everybody has gotten on their case. Satan must know something. It doesn't make sense to oppress a group of people for no other reason than the color of their exterior, which they had no responsibility for having. And it wouldn't be so bad if there was one group that got on their case. Everybody in human history has attempted to oppress black people for no other reason than the color of their skin. We must be a peculiar treasure to God. We must have a purpose. For Satan to have fired his artillery at us for all these years. See, you only exert energy, time, and resources to oppress someone who is a threat to your domination. Firmly believe that we have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. What did King Herod do when he got the news that Jesus was born? Tried to kill him. And since he didn't know exactly who he was, he killed every baby that might be within the time frame of when Jesus was born to try to get him. The devil has tried to stamp us out, tried to exterminate us, and the more he has tried, the more prolific we have become. Listen to this. I mean everyone has been on our case. You gotta be some kind of idiot, stupid jerk to believe that the color of somebody's skin is a curse. I mean anyone. That's ridiculous. Just absolutely idiotic. All right, listen to it again. Ham's was that his descendants were men of dark-hued skin. End of quote. Have you ever heard of anything as ridiculous as that? Well, hold on, because it gets better. Ginsburg goes on to say, I quote, in his drunken condition, Noah betook himself to the tent of his wife. His son Ham saw him there. And he told his brothers what he had noticed and said, quoting Ham now, the first man had but two sons. He's talking about Adam and Eve. And one slew the other. Cain killed Abel. This man Noah has three sons, yet he desires to beget a fourth besides. End of quote. Nor did Ham rest, Mr. Ginsburg goes on, nor did Ham rest satisfied with these disrespectful words against his father. Oh, pick up on this. He added to this sin of irreverence the still greater outrage of attempting to perform an operation upon his father designed to prevent procreation. When Noah awoke from his wine and became sober, he pronounced a curse upon Ham in the person of his youngest son, Canaan. To Ham himself he could do no harm, for God had conferred a blessing upon Noah and his three sons as they departed the ark. We read that. Therefore he put the curse upon the last born son of Ham, or the last born son of the son that had prevented him from begetting a younger son than the three he had. The descendants of Ham through Canaan, therefore, now I have to get myself together. I mean, some of this stuff is difficult to read. Therefore, he put the curse upon, put the curse upon the last born son of the son that had prevented him from begetting a younger son than the three he had. The descendants of Ham through Canaan, therefore, have red eyes because Ham looked upon the nakedness of his father. They have misshapen lips because Ham spoke his lips to his brother about the unseemly condition of his father. They have twisted curly hair because Ham turned and twisted his head round to see the nakedness of his father. Wait a minute. Listen to this. Listen to this. And they go about naked because Ham did not cover the nakedness of his father. Don't laugh. They believe that. If they didn't believe it, they would have never written it. You don't put down for the benefit of posterity what you don't believe. You would never commit it to the printed page unless you wanted others to know the truth as you know it. So you Negro did not know that your curly hair is a result of Ham having turned to see the nakedness of his father. All right, let me go on now. Let me read that again. I don't think you got that. The descendants of Ham through Canaan. This is Mr. Louis Ginsburg in a book entitled Legends of the Jews. The descendants of Ham through Canaan therefore have red eyes because Ham looked upon the nakedness of his father. They have misshapen lips because Ham spoke with his lips to his brothers about the unseemly condition of his father. They have twisted curly hair because Ham turned and twisted his head around to see the nakedness of his father. And they go about naked because Ham did not cover the nakedness of his father. Thus, he was requited. For it is the way of God, to mete out punishment, measure for measure. End of quote.
You know, history shows that hatred can leave scars that last for generations. But scripture also reminds us that truth has the power to expose lies, heal wounds, and set people free. And Dr. Fred Price challenges us to look beyond the surface of history and ask deeper questions about identity, justice, and the spiritual realities that shape human hearts. And regardless of where you begin on this subject, every Christian should agree on one truth, and every human being is created in the image of God and possesses equal dignity and worth before him. The gospel doesn't call us to ignore history. It calls us to confront it honestly, reject hatred wherever it is found, and pursue the truth with both conviction and grace. So until next time, keep renewing your minds, because truth is the first step towards freedom. Enough said.
Whites are involved in their genetic survival, and they are threatened by black male masculinity, then it will occur, I have to reduce his masculinity. Yeah, we just recently had the president at Morehouse have to say the male students cannot wear high heel shoes and dresses and carry purses. So something is happening, again, within the total context of a system of racism, white supremacy. Neely Fuller, who wrote the textbook for victims of racism a number of years ago, in the late mid-70s, he used to say in the system, because he was the first person to talk about racism as a system. And he said that as the system of racism, white supremacy moves on, the system is going to have black men wearing dresses. Now, to hear that in the 70s, people said, oh, this is way out. And here we are. You see, there's some black pediatricians who are saying we are developing epidemic levels of the effeminization of young black males. So I say the pants sagging down is just a subconscious invitation for homosexuality. You see, it's revealing the buttocks. See, so the pants are getting lower and lower and lower. The next step is to step out of the pants altogether. And so you step out of the pants, you're going to put on a dress. The effeminization is an essential ingredient of white genetic survival. And the only thing that can prevent it is black people becoming conscious or becoming determined that this is not going to happen to them, because if the black men are destroyed, then the black people are gone, and we have a state of genocide.